All right, let's kick off another deep dive. Today, we're taking a look at ChatPDF and how it might just revolutionize education as we know it.
Sounds pretty exciting.
Oh, it is. It is. So for those who haven't heard of it yet, ChatPDF is this AI tool, right?
Yeah.
And it lets you actually have a conversation with any PDF document.
A conversation with a PDF. Okay, I'm intrigued.
Right. It's like ask questions, get answers, all in real time. Pretty mind-blowing considering how much information we usually just kind of gloss over.
Yeah, I mean, PDFs have always been these static things. It's pretty amazing to think about actually interacting with them.
That's exactly what's got me so pumped for this deep dive. We've got a YouTube video, a review of ChatPDF, and even an article from Smart Kids School,
Right.
all kind of hinting at how this tool could change the game for students and teachers alike.
Yeah, and not just for simple stuff. I mean, we're talking summarizing complex research papers in seconds, extracting specific data, even translating on the fly. It's wild.
It's almost like having a research assistant built right in. Okay, but before we get into all the cool things ChatPDF can do, maybe we should break down how it actually works. I'll be honest, when I saw terms like GPT 3.5 and semantic indexing, I was a little lost.
Don't worry, those are just fancy ways of saying that ChatPDF is really good at understanding language. Like, imagine creating a super detailed map of a PDF where every word and concept is linked.
Okay, I can sort of picture that.
Right, so that's basically what semantic indexing does. It helps the AI, powered by something called GPT 3.5, see the big picture and answer your questions accurately. Think of GPT 3.5 as the brain behind the operation, and semantic indexing as the map it uses to navigate all the information.
That's a great way to put it. So no more scrolling endlessly through pages trying to hunt down that one
Yeah.
specific detail. You just ask ChatPDF and boom, it points you right to it.
That's the idea. It's all about making information more accessible. And in the YouTube video we came across, there's this guy who uses ChatPDF to navigate a massive manual for a Zoom H5 recorder. Instead of getting bogged down in all the technical stuff, he just asks ChatPDF simple questions and gets clear answers.
So much easier than trying to decipher it all yourself.
Right, and that's just one example. Imagine tackling those dense textbooks we've all had to deal with. Instead of getting overwhelmed, you can use ChatPDF to break down complex concepts and engage with the material in a more interactive way.
So it's not about replacing reading altogether, but making the information more manageable and engaging, especially for those of us who might struggle with traditional learning, right?
Exactly. And there's this article from Smart Kids School that really resonated with me. They argue that ChatPDF empowers students to take control of their own learning, providing them with the tools to understand complex information effectively and responsibly.
So it's about supporting students without just giving them all the answers.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, like giving them a flashlight to explore a cave rather than just telling them what's inside.
And the best part, it's free to use, at least for up to 3 PDFs per day. So students can try it out risk-free, see how it fits into their learning.
Absolutely. Makes it super accessible.
Speaking of trying it out, have you found any interesting ways students could really utilize this?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is using ChatPDF to prep for class discussions. Imagine being able to quickly summarize different viewpoints from a bunch of articles or papers. You'd walk into class with a solid understanding of the key arguments and be ready to engage in a more meaningful way.
Wow, that's a great point. Instead of just regurgitating facts, students could actually contribute their own analysis and thoughts. Could really elevate classroom discussions.
Absolutely. And it's not limited to just traditional academic subjects. ChatPDF can be used to explore any kind of PDF, historical documents, technical manuals, you name it.
Opens up a ton of possibilities for project-based learning. Students could dive into topics that truly interest them.
Right. It becomes about making learning engaging and relevant to their lives.
So we're talking about sparking curiosity and encouraging them to be active learners.
Exactly. And we're really just scratching the surface here. The applications for education are huge, and we're just starting to explore them.
It's making me rethink my own approach to learning, to be honest. But before we get too carried away, we should acknowledge that ChatPDF, like any tool, has limitations.
Oh, absolutely. We need to be aware of those and use it responsibly.
So let's dive into that in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore the potential downsides of ChatPDF and discuss how to ensure it's used effectively and ethically in an educational setting.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into ChatPDF.
We've been painting a pretty rosy picture so far. But like you said, it's important to approach any new tech with a critical eye. What are some limitations we should be aware of, especially in education?
Well, one that jumps out is the potential for over-reliance. While ChatPDF can be amazing for understanding complex stuff, it's important that students don't become passive learners.
Right. We don't want them just accepting everything ChatPDF says without using their own brains.
Exactly. We don't want them to just take it all at face value. They still need to think critically and engage with the material.
It's like using a calculator for every math problem.
Mhm.
Eventually, you forget how to do the math yourself. So how do we make sure students use ChatPDF as a tool to enhance their learning, not to replace it altogether?
That's where teachers come in, right? They need to guide students on how to use it responsibly. Emphasize that ChatPDF is a starting point, not the final answer.
So teach them to cross-reference, evaluate sources, form their own conclusions, like good research skills, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have to remember that ChatPDF, like all AI, is only as good as the data it's trained on. It can misinterpret things or give incomplete answers, especially with very specific or complex topics.
It makes sense. We can't expect AI to be perfect, right?
Yeah. Right. We need to be aware of its
It's
limitations.
like trusting your GPS blindly. Sometimes you end up in a lake.
Yeah, good analogy. It's about using these tools to help us, not to replace our own judgment. And another challenge is access and equity.
Oh, right. We talked about ChatPDF being free to use up to a point. But there's that paid plus option too. Does that create an unfair advantage for some students?
That's a real concern. We don't want a situation where students from wealthier backgrounds have a leg up just because they can afford the premium version.
So what can we do to level the playing field, make sure everyone benefits?
It's a tough one. It's going to require a multi-pronged approach. Schools could provide access to the plus version for all students, but there are also bigger conversations about making educational resources more affordable in general.
It sounds like a discussion that needs to happen at all levels, from classrooms to school boards to, well, everywhere really.
Absolutely. Technology should be used to bridge gaps, not widen them. And while we're talking challenges, we can't forget about misuse. Any tool can be used for good or bad. ChatPDF is no exception.
What are some ways it could be misused in education specifically?
While plagiarism is a big one, students could use it to generate summaries or answers and pass them off as their own work.
That's an age-old problem. I remember when I was in school, we were just starting to deal with the internet and how easy it was to copy and paste. Seems like every new tech brings new challenges for educators.
True. But just as we adapted to the internet, we can adapt to AI tools like ChatPDF. It's about teaching students about academic honesty and helping them understand the difference between using a tool for help and using it to cheat.
So instead of banning or blocking access, we focus on fostering responsible use.
Exactly. And on that note, there's another potential challenge we need to consider: the impact of AI on critical thinking skills.
That's interesting. I mean, we've been talking about how ChatPDF can actually enhance critical thinking. How could it hinder those skills?
It's a balancing act, right? ChatPDF can be great for learning, but there's a risk that if students rely on it too much for answers, they might not develop the same deep thinking skills they would through traditional methods.
So, like, if you rely on GPS to get everywhere, you lose your sense of direction and your map reading skills.
Exactly. We need to encourage students to use ChatPDF strategically, let them engage with the material first, try to figure things out themselves, and then use ChatPDF to clarify or explore different perspectives.
It's about finding that balance between AI's power and nurturing those essential human skills, the ones that will always be valuable.
Absolutely. Think of AI as a partner in learning, not a replacement for hard work and critical thinking. Those are essential for truly understanding anything.
This conversation has given me a lot to think about. We've covered the exciting potential of ChatPDF, but also the very real challenges. It's amazing how one tool can raise so many bigger questions about the future of learning and the role of tech in our lives.
Right. And those are the questions we need to keep asking as we navigate this new world of AI. It's a whole new landscape.
Feels like we've only just scratched the surface. But before we go too deep, maybe we should recap what we've learned so far.
Good idea. Take a breather.
We started with the basics of ChatPDF and how it works. Then we looked at the potential benefits for students and teachers. And now we've talked about some limitations and challenges.
Been a pretty comprehensive exploration so far, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. But there's one more fascinating piece we haven't touched on yet. ChatPDF's potential to make information accessible to everyone, not just in schools.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Deserves its own deep dive for sure.
Well, let's dive into that in the final part of our ChatPDF exploration. We'll be right back after a quick tag. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've spent the last two parts looking at how ChatPDF can be a game changer for students and teachers. But now I'm thinking, what about its impact outside the classroom?
This is where it gets really exciting, right? We've been talking about PDFs as these knowledge containers, and ChatPDF is like the key. It's not just simplifying studying, it's making information accessible to everyone, democratizing it, you could say.
Okay, I like that. Democratizing information.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like in practice?
Think of all the information locked away in PDFs. Research papers, historical documents, technical manuals, contracts, all of it. Traditionally, you'd need specific skills, expensive software, sometimes even fluency in another language to understand it all.
It's like those academic databases where you have to pay a fortune just to read a couple of abstracts, right?
Yeah.
So frustrating when you're trying to learn something new and you keep hitting these paywalls.
Exactly. ChatPDF could remove those barriers. Imagine a student in a rural community who doesn't have a great library nearby, or a new entrepreneur trying to understand legal documents. ChatPDF could help them access and understand that information without needing expensive subscriptions or specialized knowledge.
It's about leveling the playing field then, giving everyone a chance to learn and grow, no matter their background or resources.
That's the idea. It's about empowering individuals to learn and pursue their goals without being held back by access to information. And it goes beyond individuals, too. Think about global collaboration and innovation. Researchers from different countries could use ChatPDF to work together, share their findings, and overcome language barriers.
It's amazing to think about, right? Scientists all over the world working together seamlessly, sharing knowledge and making groundbreaking discoveries because they can finally understand each other's work.
And that accessibility fuels innovation in ways we can't even predict yet. New solutions, new ideas, all because of this newfound ability to connect and collaborate freely.
Sounds pretty utopian. But I have to ask, are there downsides? Could this open access lead to misinformation or even be used for harmful purposes?
It's a valid concern and something we need to be aware of as we use these powerful new tools. Just like with the internet, democratizing information comes with responsibility. Critical thinking, checking sources, and good media literacy are more important than ever.
So it's not just about providing the information, it's about teaching people how to navigate that information responsibly. Like giving someone a map without teaching them how to read it, they might end up lost or worse.
Exactly. It's about giving people the power to understand information, to evaluate it, not just to find it.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive. We've explored so many angles of ChatPDF, from how it works to its potential in education, and now its impact on society.
I know. It's really incredible to think how a tool designed for PDFs could have such a big impact on everything.
Before we go, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember about ChatPDF?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that it's more than just a convenient tool. It's a catalyst for change. It can change how we learn, how we work, how we access information. It makes knowledge more accessible and helps people reach their full potential.
That's a great way to put it. So, to our listeners, I encourage you to give ChatPDF a try. See what it can do, experiment with different documents, see how it can change your own learning and your understanding of the world.
And as you explore, remember to stay curious, stay critical, and stay engaged. The future of information is in our hands, and tools like ChatPDF give us the power to shape that future in some really amazing ways.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into ChatPDF. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those questions coming.
So obviously there's lots of things that ChatPDF can do that's going to help facilitate learners of different levels. In high school, I think it could be used in middle school as well. I know that some elementary school students understand this stuff a little bit better. I think it's important that whatever we do, that all students are afforded the opportunity to learn the basics of AI. It is what it is. It's going to be a part of our future, a lot sooner than later. I spoke in one of our assignments that we had about being a little bit familiar with just ChatGPT, because I've had some students that have used it, and I've had to kind of get familiar with what that looks like and what workarounds they might use. But I don't know if you notice, here I'm trying to, with the free version, you only get a certain amount of things that you can upload per day. So obviously if a teacher had one thing, one or two articles that they wanted their class to get information from or answer some guided questions from, they'd be able to do that. But, when I type in new chat here and go over and try to look up or open an article that I had sent. If it's too big for the free version, or it's I'm beyond what I've used for that day, or I'm over my limit of uses for that day, it's not going to let me open it. Something I did here towards the end of the podcast that was playing, I know at David Crockett, where I teach, we have a decent Spanish-speaking population, and they're doing English as a learning language or a second language, or whatever the school system wants to label that as. You can ask a question, translate that question into Spanish, and then ask the question in Spanish and get the same detailed answers. The thing that I really like is that you can see here it pops up with the pages, so if you want to go a little deeper into the reading, you may do that. I know the audio spoke about the challenges and questions that are going to have to answered and monitored. I think it's important that teachers understand kind of what they're looking for, and not just allowing a copy and paste type situation. And I don't think this should be the sole way that these students learn, but obviously if I can take a guided reading or a document that has been approved by a teacher and add it in here, and then have the students be able to ask questions about that, that would be a great jumping off point for understanding some of the very basic things. Obviously with AI, you can have some things that are not gonna necessarily get spit out the way that you want to. There's going to be some biases and some things in there. I do think that ChatPDF allows a lot larger more room for getting quality data, because we are using information or a textbook that we know that the information is in that textbook is going to be approved reading, or something that is required reading that they can then use and take the information from that. So all in all, I think there's obviously some challenges, but I know that as a somebody that's once again going through school, getting my master's, but thinking back to when I was in college or high school, this would have been an awesome tool to really weed out some of the stuff that I may not have needed to learn, or if we were having a test or an assignment where we did have to do dates or some type of chart that was dealing with dates or specific instances, being able to look that up super quick and click on the page and go to that would obviously save a lot of time and kind of streamline, getting the information that my teacher was looking for. I'd never heard of this. It's very similar to ChatGPT and how you interact, and I know a lot of students are familiar with that. I think it's time teachers get familiar with it and use it for good. Like I've said time and time again, you've got to know what to look for, and you've got to maintain the integrity and make sure your students know that there are guidelines and expectations to using AI, but it is what it is. I was having a conversation with Jacob Atkins, who's also in this class, about some of this stuff, and talking to him about what he was going to use for this project, and we were just going back and forth about. I was telling him about ChatPDF because he didn't know about that either, and this is kind of the first time that we've both felt like the need for a teacher in the classroom is obviously you can't replace that, but I do feel like AI is replacing a lot of the need for extensive time, creating varying lesson plans for students of different levels of learning. I think that using AI can streamline getting those students the information that us as teachers want them to have. So I found a textbook that was online, found a PDF, saved it as a PDF, uploaded it into ChatPDF, and was able to access an entire textbook and ask any question that I wanted to, and then even up here to find some additional documents and things that gave me different source material, some official government documents, different historical analyses, some scholarly articles. If as an educator I want to make sure that what's going in there is something that's been published, it's not just something that was written in a blog by somebody, so I don't get secondhand or inappropriate information that way. films, personal accounts, and books that I can look up on this. So I think the possibilities are endless. I think it's something that I would definitely use. As a PE teacher, it may be more along the lines of the history of a sport or something to do with wellness. You could potentially upload an entire medical research findings article and have students go through and kind of pick things that they find are interesting, or if you give them that guided reading and give them some leading questions, help them find the information that we're wanting to look for. So there's definitely a place for it. I know we're not worried about outside education, but one of the things I thought was really neat was the manual for how to do something. And I know at Crockett we have a strong CTE program, and so if you wanted to put a welding safety handbook on here, or the OSHA safety test on here, and go through and pick out things and do that, I think the opportunities and options are just limitless for what we as educators are trying to do. So I also think it would be important for data. We have TVOS data in the state of Tennessee that tells us what our areas of struggle are as a school and what we need to do better. You can upload those things and be able to sift through that real quick. So the teacher to teacher, admin to teacher communication can benefit and expand through this as well. So I think it's something that it's just like all AI. I think once teachers realize that this is a thing and something that they can use for good, and it's not just computers taking over the world, then we're gonna streamline this education process and weed out the struggles and get to a place where this is used as a partner, not something that's an opposition or just a tool to cheat. I think the benefits are limitless. So thank you, and I actually enjoyed kind of learning about this. So glad that this was an opportunity that I got. Again, ChatPDF. It's not free, but you do get enough information per day that I think you could use the free one. I'm sure I've tried to do some research and find I can't pinpoint anything in particular about pricing if you were to use it for like an entire school system, or if you were to give certain teachers, a certain amount of leeway or use on this. But yeah, that was ChatPDF. So that's it. On a side note, I had not used Notebook LM before, and it is awesome. I will be using it from here on out. I'm going to implement it in my lesson planning stuff, and so enjoyed that, and appreciate you. And if you need anything else, let me know. Thanks.